my last 6 videos, I explained why I became a minimalist slash frugal person. And now I'm going to explain how I did it. Somebody said that they wished my videos were longer, and that was the biggest compliment. I didn't think anybody enjoyed listening to me talk for very long, so this video will be a little longer, but I will still continue to make the shorter ones so that you can pick and choose. In becoming a minimalist, there were 12 steps that I took. And then after I got there are 12 principles that I still live by. So if somebody were to ask me advice about how to become a minimalist, I would tell them these 12 steps that I took. Now, I may not have taken them in this particular order, but this is the order that they should be taken in. Number one, the first thing I did was get rid of all the things that did not apply to me and that I would never have any use for. In my situation, I had a death. And so I donated all of his clothes and all of his things. I got rid of them. I also tried to open all of his mail. He had years of unopened mail. He never opened his mail. But I didn't even put a dent in it. It got so overwhelming, I finally just threw it all out. I found a couple of refund checks where he had overpaid some of his bills, but those checks were already expired by the time I found them. I even found a $20 bill. Somebody had sent him a birthday card years ago. Step number 2 is I knew that I wanted to be myself and do this my way. Yes, I do love reading minimalist books to see how other people do it, and I might even get tips and tricks from those books. But at the end of the day, I've got to do this the way that is compatible with my personality. Step number 3, I knew that there was no wrong or right way to do this. There are a lot of minimalist stereotypes. And I've even been told that I was not a minimalist because I didn't fit all the stereotypes. But I think nowadays people know that it is individual and unique and personal, and each person's way of doing it is different. So, whatever way is right for me is the way that's right for me. Step number 4, I knew that this was going to be a process and that it wasn't going to be done in a day. Step number 5, I knew that there was no time limit. I knew that I could go as slow as I wanted to or as fast as I wanted to. Step number 6, I knew that even though this was a process, the main thing is to go forward and not backwards. If I were to draw a line from 0 to 100, whether it be on a piece of paper or mentally in my head, 0 being where I am when I get started, and 100 is where I'll be when I'm a full-blown minimalist. I knew that it's better to only gain 2 points a month than to gain 50 points a month and then go backwards 49 points. So as long as I'm constantly moving forward. Now, some ways to constantly move forward and never go backwards will be discussed in the next steps. And step number 7 is the very first thing is to get a mail bin or box, because mail can end up in every room of the house. And when I get mail, I don't always go through it immediately because I don't have time or I just don't have the interest in opening all that junk mail. So I can just put it in that box or that bin and it will be there for later. Number 8 is very similar to number 7, to have a box or a bin for important papers such as tax papers. I don't like fancy filing systems because they're too complicated. I like simple things. And you might be thinking, well, if it's not in its own folder, then you go to looking for it, you might have a hard time finding it. But if you've only got one box to go through, that's a lot easier than looking in your whole house. Step number 9 is to stop buying, but at the same time, don't start throwing things out. Not yet. We'll get to that later. Just stop buying and just use what you have. Step 10 is to decide to work on each item one at a time, each category one at a time. Like, for example, clothes could be a category, shoes could be a category, office supplies such as scissors, tape, pens, paper. And then when you work on each category, then you can decide on what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. But be careful what you get rid of. To be honest, I didn't really get rid of much, if anything, because I'm too conservative to just throw things out. And it's a good thing that I didn't, because the things that I kept, such as the paper and pens, they are getting used, and a lot of it's already gotten used. And number 10 leads to number 11. Everything gets a home, but you don't assign a home until you work on that particular category. And when you get done using something, it goes back in its home, because if not, that would defeat the purpose of everything having a home. And you can change homes if one place is a good home today, but later you decide someplace else is a better home for it. You can move the stuff to its new home. And the advantage of having a home for everything, not only is it pleasing and minimalistic, but you don't have to look for things anymore because you know where their home is. And step number 12. If I need something, I get it. I do not do the one in, one out rule. Now, some minimalists do, and that's okay, because like I said, it's personal and we all do it the way that works best for us. But in my situation, that does not work best for me, because my philosophy is this is not to deprive myself of anything. It's to just have what I need. It's so that life is easier, not harder. And an example of this is 2.5 years ago when my granddaughter was born, I needed a rocking chair to rock her in. So I went and bought a rocking chair, but I didn't get rid of anything just because I bought a rocking chair. So those are the 12 steps. And now the 12 principles that I continue to go by. Number 1, even though I do get what I need, I don't deprive myself. Before I get it, I say to myself, is there anything that I have that I can use instead? Or can I just do without it? Like, for example, back when I was drinking coffee, which I don't drink it anymore, but back when I never had a coffee maker in my house because I did not want an extra appliance. I just drank instant coffee. Now, I know some people don't like instant coffee and that wouldn't work for them, and that's okay because we're all different, but it worked for me. I had one less appliance in my house. Number 2, I focus on multi-purpose items such as Castile soap, shea butter. Even my kitchen table, not only do I eat off of that, but I use it as a desk. I use it to entertain guests. Number three, I know that it is okay to accept things from others. For example, there was a lady who cleaned out her closet and she gave me some clothes and I appreciated them. In fact, this shirt that I'm wearing right now is one that she gave me, plus some of the others that I wear. And it kept me from having to buy clothes later, so I do appreciate it. I did not say no, I can't take that. I'm a minimalist. Number four, I know that it's okay to have a small food supply on hand. I am not big on a big hoard of food, but a small stash is okay. I don't like going to the grocery store very often. And I learned my lesson. I know that I have to have more than rice and beans and pasta. I need to have peanut butter and crackers and canned peaches. I need all food groups. Um, Principle number five is not to be so minimalistic that life is inconvenient. And a good example is recently I couldn't get to the laundromat one week because of the way I was working. And so I ran out of face cloths and kitchen towels. So I had to stop at the store on my way home from work and buy some more. But that's okay because there might be another time when I'm working like that and I will need those. Principle number six is not to be so minimalistic that life is no fun. For example, if you look in the trunk of my car, you will find badminton equipment and tennis equipment. Principle number seven, I know that this is not a competition. I am not doing this to impress anybody. Now, I hope I do help people and encourage them, but I know that the purpose of this is to make life enjoyable and comfortable and convenient. It's not to compete with anybody, and it's just for me to be me. Principle number eight is I know not to be afraid to buy expensive. Since I am frugal, I know that I can still buy expensive if I want to. For example, my favorite kitchen towels are the ones from Bed Bath and Beyond. Now, I do have some kitchen towels that come from other places, but my favorite ones, like I said, are from Bed Bath and Beyond, and I'd rather pay a little bit more because I like the way they perform. Number nine is the flip side. Don't be afraid to buy cheap. Some people might think, well, if you're a frugal person, it's best to buy expensive because that's better quality. And in some cases, that is true, but there are some items that it's okay to buy cheap. And an example is I do have some plastic drawers that are cheap. I do have an expensive drawer set that is made out of wood or pressboard or whatever it is. But when I give you a tour of my bedroom, you will see my cheap plastic drawers. Number 10 is I know to be flexible. I know I don't have to say, well, I can't do that or I can't have that because I'm a minimalist or a frugal person. An example is I go to lunch with my kids. I party with them, and if a friend asks me to go to lunch with them, I'm going to go. I'm not going to turn them down just because I'm frugal. I'm going to enjoy life, And another example is sometimes my kids give me gifts that are not use upable, like a purse or a bag. If they give that to me, I'm gonna accept it and enjoy it. Number 11. When you follow these rules, you don't accumulate stuff. In fact, you do the opposite. You get rid of stuff because when things wear out, you don't replace them unless it's absolutely necessary. Like, for example, when my shoes wear out, I'm not buying new ones unless I'm on my very last pair. And the last principle, number 12, is I know that if I get sick and I can't keep up with the housework, it's not going to look that bad. So that is all.